Hello and welcome to the Patient Educators Update. I'm Chuck Jones. I'm your host today, and I'm pleased to welcome our resident expert, Fran London. Hi, Fran.
Hey, Chuck.
For those of you who don't know, Fran is the Patient Education Specialist at Phoenix Children's Medical Center in Phoenix, Arizona, and she's also the author of the book, No Time to Teach. And we are in a series of topics that relate to self-efficacy right now. We have talked about in previous episodes what is self-efficacy and what the patient educator can do to help the patient. And we've talked about skills mastery, modeling, and reinterpretation of physiological signs. And then the final segment on this show is going to be about social persuasion. So, Fran, I guess my question to you is, are we talking about social pressure, fear, or some type of family pressure, like an intervention to get people motivated? What is social persuasion?
Yeah, I think that's really the issue. I think a lot of people, when they're trying to help others change behaviors, will think that the best way to do that is to scare them into changing the behavior or pressure them into doing it. And what we're finding through research is that that's not really the most effective way to help people change behaviors. In the context of self-efficacy, which is whether or not you can believe you can do something, a small amount of social persuasion may be able to help somebody at least try a new behavior. And it's in the trying that they can discover that they are capable of it.
Okay. We didn't talk about this before, but let me just throw this out because I had a thought. There are certain things that I observe about my wife's behavior, and as I've mentioned, she's diabetic, and I can make a comment to her, and she'll just, blow it right off just because, I'm her husband, and what the heck do I know? But her doctor can say the exact same thing, and it makes total sense to her then. So in this case, it may be the source of the social persuasion
Exactly.
that
The
makes a
source
difference.
and the timing and
Yeah,
a lot of other factors
yeah.
too.
And,
Yeah,
and this is also all about coaching and behavior change, correct?
absolutely.
Now, what's the role of the patient educator from a coaching standpoint?
Listening mostly to find out what the issue is, what the resistance is, what the problem is, why the behavior is not automatically being changed. Changing behaviors is not easy. Habits take at least a month to form, and you have to keep aware during the process in order to change a habit.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that from my own personal experience. I'll tell this quick story. For all of my childhood and most of my adult life, I bit my fingernails, and my mother was always after me to stop doing that. And I made some attempts to do it, but I never really did. And then I read this book last year called The Power of Habit, written by an author by the name of Charles Duhigg. That's Duhigg. And I found the book quite interesting because he explained the science of habits without being scientific. So he broke it down into terms that I could relate to in terms of the what was behind the habit, what triggered it, and the fact that you didn't have to do big things to change the habit, but small things. And so that got me to thinking, well, why do I bite my fingernails? And it became part of what I thought about for a few days. And I think you've mentioned this before, like mind share, where you think about something. And so I thought about, when do I bite my fingernails? And then when I discovered I tend to bite them only on my commute to and from work. And then I thought, well, why am I doing that? It's because I'm bored. I'm stuck in traffic. And so I'm doing that to keep myself busy. And once I figured that out, then I was able to come to the obvious conclusion that I need to entertain myself while I'm in traffic. Not that I'm not going to pay attention to the cars in front of me, but rather than listen to the radio, I started listening to audiobooks where my mind would be a little bit occupied when I'm just sitting there. And I noticed immediately that I was not biting my fingernails. So doing that over a period of 30 days, I didn't bite my fingernails. Now they're grown out, and now I have to clip them. So it worked.
It worked.
And this book, you and I have talked about this book before. I'm going to put a link in the show notes because it's one of those kinds of books that is there's a lot of science behind it, but he doesn't incorporate that to make you think of it. He breaks it down into practical things you can understand. Another quick one, I remember watching a YouTube video that a dietitian that works for my daughter was giving on healthy eating habits and what to do to lose weight. And after about 45 minutes, it was kind of the same stuff that you're used to listening to, and some of it you pay attention to, some of it you don't. One of the things that she said was, you don't have to make dramatic changes in order for this to work. She said, think about if you drink soda, sugared soda, or you go to Starbucks every day and you get, one of the high-calorie coffee drinks. If you would eliminate one of those a day or one a week, you're potentially eliminating about 500 calories. And then if rather than taking the elevator, you might take a flight or two of stairs, or instead of getting the parking spot closest to the store, you parked back away and walked, you would, in addition to reducing your calorie consumption, you would increase your calorie burn just by minor little detail that in the grand scheme of things really is not going to make a difference, but over time will make a significant difference. And I found that rather profound. It was so insignificant in terms of an idea, but it made so much sense that it was something I was able to adopt.
Exactly. And that's how social persuasion can fit in, because you can just have someone remind you, don't order that high calorie beverage today, order something without any sugar in it. And that can help make the long-term change, but it's really with short-term awareness.
Yeah, and something you just said makes a whole lot of sense. Have somebody there to help you or remind you, whether it be a spouse or a brother or a sister or a friend or somebody. If you tell them up front, hey, I'm trying to lose weight or quit smoking or quit doing this or whatever, and if you see me do something, just let me know. And then I can choose to ignore you, or I can choose to adopt the new behavior because it's part of something I committed to doing. But at least it goes back to mind share. If you're not thinking about it, you do the old unconscious method of what comes natural. But if you're trying to change a habit, it's got to be mind share or it won't work, right?
Yeah. It's all about mindfulness. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Is there a subtle way for the patient educator to do this? And we didn't talk about this either, but think about the team approach in medicine where you're not the only nurse that's going to interact with this patient over the 3 or 4 days or a week that they're in the hospital. Is there some communication or some type of collusion that everybody can use a similar approach?
Well, if everyone does the evidence-based practice way of helping patients change behaviors and improve health over the long term, you'll get there. I mean, basically, if everyone listens as opposed to lectures and helps the patient come to his own conclusions about what behaviors he's ready to change and where he's ready to go, that will help everybody get on the same page. Also, I mean, communication through the electronic record and communicating with each other about where the patient is and what they've noticed, and hints for the other caregivers on the team.
Okay, makes total sense. All right, cool. Well, that wraps up our series on self-efficacy and the things that the patient educator can do. And if this is the first episode that you've seen on this, I would encourage you to go back beginning with episode 14 to be able to catch up on that. So, Fran, thanks for your time today. Why don't you tell folks how they can reach out to you online?
I'm on a website, www.notimetoteach.com, and I'm also on Twitter @NoTimeToTeach.
Okay, and I would point out that your book, which is what we use for a lot of our topics, is available wherever books are sold in ebook form as well as printed form. And for nursing directors and patient educators that need to they want a good reference, they can get a sizable discount on this by going direct to your publisher, Pritchett and Hull, and their website is p-h.com. So with that, Fran, I thank you for your time and attention this week, and thanks to all the listeners and viewers out there, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, bye-bye.